Good afternoon and welcome. Citizens of this community have been the victims of a series of unprovoked attacks and assaults. These assaults may be related. To coordinate the investigation of these assaults, a task force of Genesee County law enforcement agencies has been established and committed their full resources. This task force is being led by the Michigan State Police and includes members from the following agencies: the City of Flint Police Department, represented today by Chief Al Locke; the City of Burton, here today represented by Chief John Benthal; Flint Township Police, represented by Chief George Sippert. Each one of these jurisdictions has had an assault or homicide within its borders. Also representing the City of Flint today is its Mayor, Dane Walling. Other agencies have also committed significant resources despite no related assaults having taken place within their municipalities. The Township of Grand Blanc, Chief David Stamm, has committed his department to the apprehension of the assailant. The Office of the Genesee County Sheriff, which obviously represents the entire county, joins the task force. Captain Chris Swanson, representing the Sheriff's Department, is here with us today. 14 investigators are assigned full-time. Additional agencies have also offered resources on an as-needed basis, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This task force has thus far followed up on approximately 175 tips as of 3 o'clock this afternoon. Each of those tips is generating new leads. These tips are being entered into a computerized system for categorizing, review, and assignment to officers in the field. After the task force review, we now believe there are 15 stabbings potentially attributed to the same suspect. 5 stabbings have been fatal. The first assault occurred on May 24th in the city of Flint, and the most recent was August 2nd, also in the city of Flint. These stabbings have been taking place during the early morning hour, and the victims have been on foot and approached by the suspect from his vehicle. Oftentimes, the suspect is asking for directions or assistance. The victims to date have been both African American and white and range in age from 17 to 60 years of age. They have been short, they have been tall, some have been slim, some have been stocky. All victims to date have been male. Connections between these stabbings were not readily apparent to law enforcement due to the timing of the assaults, the death of some victims, and the absence of witnesses. Additionally, once the assaults crossed jurisdictional boundaries, connection of any one assault to another was made more difficult. It's important to note that a gap of almost 1 month existed between the first and second stabbings. The first 2 assaults were fatal. No witnesses have been located to those crimes. It was not until June 26th that law enforcement encountered a surviving victim from whom information could be obtained. Some victims made no police report, and a pattern did not begin to emerge until late July. For this reason, the task force was developed. It was through this follow-up investigation that law enforcement was able to determine that there was a potential connection between all or some of these attacks. As of today, a composite has been prepared with the input of 2 of the surviving victims, which was distributed to the public on August the 6th. The suspect is believed to be a white male in his late 20s or early 30s, standing 5'11" up to 6'2" tall, being approximately 180 to 200 pounds. He may have light-colored hair. He usually wears a baseball cap during his attacks. Note that he may wear a metal rod-style piercing in his upper left ear. Additionally, this morning, law enforcement was able to release a description of a vehicle they believe may be involved, described as a Chevrolet Blazer or a GMC Jimmy type vehicle, likely model year ranging from 1995 to 2005, described as a two-tone green over beige or gold, and it's a four-door vehicle. A tip line has been established so that the task force can coordinate all tips that the public may have. If you have information, I'm speaking now directly to the public, if you have information that you believe could help the task force identify the person responsible for these attacks, or if you have information about similar attacks that you believe may have gone unreported, please call the tip line. That number is 866-246-9500. 866-246-9500. It's a toll-free call. You can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm imploring the community to come forward with any and all information that you may have to assist the task force in solving these crimes. The task force is working around the clock to identify this person, and they will not stop until he is arrested and brought to justice. I want to reassure the public. This individual will be apprehended. Investigators will not rest until this person is in custody. Thank you. Take questions at this point.
Is there a connection between this and what's happening in Leesburg, Virginia?
We have been in contact with the authorities in Leesburg, and there are some similarities, specifically an identification that has been able to be obtained from the victims out there, as well as the vehicle description. So those similarities exist in the Leesburg 3 cases that we're aware of. We're in touch with Leesburg, we're coordinating with Leesburg, and we'll continue to do so.
Where do you believe that the suspect is right now, here or in Virginia?
Well, if we knew, we'd go get him. We're trying to hone in on exactly where this individual is. The timeline is such that he could be in either place.
Are you ready to call it racially motivated yet?
No, I don't want to go and say that at all. One of the victims was white, and we certainly are not in a position to say that. We don't know what's in the mind of this assailant. We have no idea why he's doing what he's doing. Obviously, there's something wrong with the individual, but I'm not ready to make that statement.
Are you guys worried he's escalating if Virginia is connected because the MO has seemed to have changed and even weapons have changed?
We're worried that there's somebody out there who may be stabbing people and committing crimes of homicide and assault with intent to do great bodily harm, or assault with intent to do murder, and we're going after that individual, and we will apprehend the individual.
There was another case in Toledo. Are you guys investigating that was connected as well?
We are aware of the case in Toledo, but it is very fresh. We're just obtaining information, and we are in touch with the Toledo police.
The Saturday morning stabbing, can you say that that is definitely not related at all yet, or not willing to go there yet?
You're talking about the one near McLaren Hospital? We are not ready to put that in the same classification as these others. We don't have information that allows us to have similarities between that incident and all these others.
So far there's been 12, 13 attacks. You mentioned 15. What are those other two of the, what was that, and when did those happen?
We have 15 incidents that we have that we believe could be related.
But there's only been 12 announced so far, 13 announced. Where are the other two coming from?
Well, I don't know which 13 you're referring to, but I know of 15, and I'm not going to stand here at this moment and go through every one of them.
Is it possible to get times and places for these 15?
We know the dates of each one of them, and we know approximately where the individuals were found. So the answer is yes, we have that information, and we probably at the appropriate time can make it available.
What do you want to say to anyone who knows someone who has, because it's, I mean, same car, same suspect description between Virginia and here. Anyone who knows someone who's been traveling back and forth, just do you want to say anything about how that could be a potential piece of information that maybe could help you guys find him?
Anybody out there who has any information whatsoever that they just think, well, you know, I sort of recognize this, or I've seen a car like that, or maybe I saw a car like this on the road, should really call the hotline, the tip line, and help us out. We need every speck of information. The task force is in a position to take that information, categorize it, and really make use of it so that we can bring this individual to justice. The community, the eyes and ears of the community are the most important investigative tool that these men and women have. We really need the public to help us bring this individual to justice.
Were the individuals in Virginia, were they African American?
The individuals, the victims, I believe that 2 were and 1 was Hispanic.
Can you talk about just how conversations initiated between officials there and then you regarding these incidents back and forth, and what made you first believe that they were connected? Was it just the car, or what was the circumstances of the attack? Were the victims actually saying that that was the same MO that he had?
Yeah, based upon the victim's statement as to how the incidents occurred and the description of the vehicle, Leesburg and the county task force here, led by the Michigan State Police, got together and communicated about this because it seemed there were similarities between the incidents in Leesburg and the incidents here. So it's the victim's description of the assailant, and it's the victim's description of the vehicle that causes us to believe there are some similarities.
Do you guys have any evidence yet, DNA or anything confiscated from any of the scenes that might help find this guy?
Any and all evidence is being acquired from the scenes of all the different assaults and homicides. And all of the evidence that's gathered will be sent to the Michigan State Police Crime Lab and will be analyzed, and then will be given back to the task force so it can be properly put into the files and made use of and dispersed, so all the investigators have it at as part of their arsenal to try to bring this person into apprehension.
With the tips that have been coming in, does anybody recognize this individual? And if so, does he seem to have ties to Michigan or Virginia or both?
Well, we have, 175 some odd tips that the tip line just got going, and it's already generating leads, so I can't be more specific than that at this point. But we are generating good leads from the tip line, and every single lead will be chased down, and we'll figure out what we're going to do with it, and whether it's relevant or not, and let us make the decision as to whether it's relevant. We need the public to bring all tips in, call that hotline, and tell us what you know.
So if the last one here was August 2nd, you believe there's no overlap in these crimes? He potentially could have gone to Virginia for these assaults in recent days?
The timeline is such that it could be the same individual, yes.
Any reward money counted yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do we know anything else about the suspect? Has a profiler been brought in yet, like in terms of possible military training or anything like that?
No.
Is there a color cap that he's wearing consistently? Is it just blank? Is there anything on it? Is it because that just the profile picture that we have, if I remember the picture, it's just a blank baseball cap. Is there a color, any emblems or anything?
At this point, the best we can tell you is that we think he's wearing a ball cap when he commits the assaults.
Is he using the same weapon in the stabbings here?
We're not able to say at this point precisely what the weapon is, other than it's a knife, and we're not able to say whether it's the same knife, whether it's a different knife. We just know it's a knife.
Has his killing style, any which way that they have been stabbed, led you to believe he has any kind of military training or anything like that?
No, I can't say that. The only thing we can say is that we know that he is strong. We know that he's a strong individual.
You mentioned that not everybody filed reports, not all the victims. When you caught up with them, did they give reasons why they never filed reports on Henry's death?
Well, some of the victims were unable to file reports. They're unable to really give us a statement because they've been so badly hurt.
Their families didn't call, or?
No.
Have police stepped up patrols in certain areas or certain times since this was announced last week?
I think patrols have been stepped up all across the city and the inner belt suburbs where the incidents have occurred. I know that the police are on, they're watching very, very carefully. Everybody is doing everything that can possibly be done to look for this individual and to prevent any future crimes from occurring. But it's a big city, and there's people out there other than law enforcement who can help us, who can be the eyes and ears of the community. And I've been talking about this for years. We need the community to step forward and tell us any and everything that they may know, that they may have seen, that they may believe they have seen, to assist us in getting to the bottom of this.
I know this wasn't included in your vehicle description, but did you guys get a sense of whether it had a Michigan plate or some other state?
We don't have any information on that.
You said this was put together as a serial incident late July. Was there a wow moment that made that happen for you?
Just when the information started to come in and law enforcement saw that there was some similarities, and that happened after victims actually began to be interviewed and statements were made, and we realized that the description of the assailant was similar, and then we've recently been able to come up with a description of a vehicle that other victims also were able to talk about. I wouldn't say there was an oh wow moment, but there was a moment in time where it started, that piece of the puzzle started to come together.
You made the announcement on August 2. Why August 2? There was a gap there of some sort, or is that a rapid progression?
I didn't make the announcement, so I can't comment. This is my first announcement.
Has he just been lucky? It seems like there's so many different things he's done, times, days, people, places. Has he just been lucky in eluding the police?
I don't think he's been lucky. I think these are crimes of opportunity. He's preying on individuals who are alone on the street, and those are crimes of opportunity. So we'll get them. I mean, as long as we get help from the public and tips come in, these men and women will not rest until this individual is apprehended. But it doesn't have anything to do with luck.
Are steps being taken to protect these very vulnerable people? I mean, they have to live on the street because they have nowhere else to go. They've got to be scared. What is being done to reach out to them? And
there are many. Well, there are many shelters that are available for individuals to go to if they have nowhere else to go, and those shelters have been open throughout the city. I know that the clergy has made various churches available, and resources from the churches are available. So if an individual has nowhere to go, then they can certainly, I'm sure, call the local police agency. I'm certain they can call Flint City Hall, and they'll be helped out in terms of getting accommodation so that they don't have to spend the night on the street.
Is there a weapon, like a pocket knife, or what type of knife? Is it a pocket knife or a kitchen knife?
We don't know what kind of knife. We know it's a knife, but we can't be any more descriptive of the knife than that at this point in time.
I came in late, and I apologize. I'm sure this was already discussed. The various law enforcement resources that are being drawn together, if you could go over that again.
Sure. And you're from where?
Michigan Radio.
Okay. We have, I'll tell you what, why don't you ask me afterwards, because I already covered all that. We'll get you the information afterwards.
There have been, I mentioned before, there's a 13 that's already been announced. Did those additional 2 stabbings, did they happen in the city of Flint, or where did they happen at? Because so far there's only been 13 stabbings announced, but now you're saying 15.
The 2 most recent incidents are city of Flint.
That vehicle description, why today? Was it just cemented today? Or?
Today because we just got the information from victims that allowed us to believe that this was an accurate description of the vehicle that was being used in these assaults. Up to this point, we haven't had reliable information, but now we feel that we do.
Because of the possible connection with Virginia?
No, here alone, here based on our information. Virginia is doing its own investigation, and it may have interviewed its suspects. In fact, it did, and came up with a similar type of description of the vehicle there. But ours is based on interviews of suspects here.
Could you give a breakdown for how many, I'm sorry, was it 13 incidents in Flint, one in Flint Township and one in Burton?
Yes, and there's one in Genesee, I believe. So
Genesee Township.
Genesee Township. So it's 12 Flint, and then one in each of the suburbs.